right now?
Yeah.
Right, so, does anybody, I know a lot of people have bumped heads with their parents, and I know I did. When I was younger and when I was growing up, I always disagreed with my father, or I disagreed with my mother. And there was always a problem or a conflict that, just constantly, week by week. And that's when I chose, I agree with Wadsworth when he says, by the time a man realizes that maybe his father was right, he usually has a son who thinks he is wrong. And I can think of 3 examples where that's right. I have an older brother, and as I was growing up, I watched him constantly bump heads with my dad, and there was always something that was wrong, and it was kind of like me that I looked back and I saw, I did the same thing, but when I was growing up, I noticed that it wasn't really a big thing, but there were little things, and as my brother got older, I noticed that he melded more with my father at the end, because he's older, and I think he was agreeing more. And coincidentally, he did have a son when he did start melding with my dad. And so I think that in that sense it works, because a lot of the things, when he was getting older, he noticed that my dad was right, and he was actually just teaching him life lessons through those little problems that they were having. And now I look at the present with me, and I look back at what the relationships that I had with my father, and I see that we did bump heads in the little things, just like my brother and him, and I put up a big fight most of the time, and now I notice that I'm melding with my dad more, and it's just like the same thing. It's like repetition, and I noticed that we have a better relationship, and I noticed that I got a lot of my morals and my life values and stuff from my father just through those little fights that we had, and now I can picture in the future that if I ever had a child, that it would be that struggle, and I would try to do what my dad did, and put up a fight and just teach him life lessons through those little things, and of course, while you grow old, you're going to agree with him more, because you're going to actually implement those morals and standards. And so in conclusion, I agree with Wadsworth when he says that by the time a man realizes his father may be right, he usually has a son who thinks he's wrong, because through my life, I've learned lessons from my father, and as I grow old, it's pretty much been implemented. All right, thank you.
All right, we'll work a little backward this time. We'll start with the presentation issues. I think your voice projects well. You've got good variety and tone. It usually seems connected with what you're talking about. You're expressing sincerity on a couple of the points with the tone and voice that you have. Your gestures, you've got a few indicators, but you don't seem particularly animated. Facial expressions, I think you looked engaged with the audience, but sometimes it does look like you were looking kind of right at the front row instead of spreading your contact around through the audience. You seem mostly natural in your presentation. I do think that you look a little bit like you're dressed for a picnic or a basketball game rather than giving a presentation. So that's one of those issues that I haven't been picking on people about, but I'll just mention it since I had to see your toes. On the contents of the speech, I thought you had an okay structure. Basically, it's around a couple of examples that you have. There aren't any details on any of those points. You keep everything at a very abstract level. You've got the idea, and you talk about it in an abstract way, but it would have been nice to have some of those illustrations about what the particular issues were that your brother ran up against with your father, or that you discovered that you are learning from in that particular situation. I think that would have made the content a little bit more useful. I liked the attention device, and I thought you had a good thesis statement at the beginning. You needed, like I said, a little bit more structure. It says, oh, I've got 3 things I'm going to say about it, but you don't really set up what those 3 things are. All right, thank you.